Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today's vlog is going to be a personal one, and it's going to be about how I went from loathing to loving this our Spanish village house here in rural Andalusia. Now, if you've ever made a decision and then instantly thought, what have I done? Then I think this vlog is going to probably resonate with you. So let's rewind a little bit so you can understand more about the context of this vlog. So when we bought this house back in July, I'd of course already thrown a huge chunk of money into it, and it was supposed to be a fresh, exciting adventure, you know, Spanish village life. We'd never lived in a village in Spain before, my wife or I. The normal tapas, sunshine, and of course renovations along the way to this house. The typical Spanish cliche, if you like. But instead, what we got was, on the very first night, we had a cockroach infestation. And I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking about a whole welcome committee. Literally tens of dozens, if not hundreds, in most rooms of the house. Then, a few days later, my car got vandalised directly outside my own house. And we were both down. And then on top of that, I'd lost my job of 10 years. And suddenly, our whole plans pretty much changed overnight. You know, our plan was to buy this. We bought it in an area close to where I was working. And the plan was to stay in this house for around 6 or 7 years until my wife and I hit 60. We was then going to sell this house and put that money towards funding our retirement in our other property around 6 hours up the coast. But like I say, all of that planning and those dreams did seem to evaporate overnight. So if you want to see exactly how I felt back then check out this vlog. It did pretty well. It had almost 70,000 views. And in that vlog, I was completely honest about how much I hated this house, how much I hated this village. And it really sort of showed the chaos and the frustration that I felt I was living with at the time. And it's quite interesting as well, because it seems that a lot of people actually got entertained by my, I suppose, for want of a better word, misery at the time. But yeah, it's interesting. So that's where we were. We were totally lost. We wasn't sure if we was going to stay here or just cut our losses and run, like so many of you were saying to me in the comments of that vlog that hit 70,000. So we did what a lot of people typically won't admit to. We just packed some bags and we left. We locked up the door and we left. We went away for a couple of months simply because we just didn't want to be in this house. But being away was actually probably one of the best things we did, because what that did was it gave me time to think. It gave me a choice, you know, to sell and cut our losses, which, as I just said, plenty of people suggested it, or I could face the problem head on. You know, I could face the problems that we had with the house, with the cockroach infestation, the problems with what seemed to be people in the village not liking foreigners here. I could also face the problems of losing my employment over 10 years. So yeah, that was basically the choices I had. I could face it head on, or I could sell, cut my losses and just walk away from the problem. But while I was away, I realised that I'm not that person who throws in the towel. You know, over the years, I think I probably got very comfortable being employed in that role for 10 years, because throughout my adult working life, I've always made my own income. And during those 10 years, I think I probably lost my way a little bit, if I'm being completely honest. So anyway, I made a deal with myself. I was going to come back, work on the house, and then if I still hated it when it's done, I'd simply sell it. And that simple plan changed everything for me mentally, because suddenly the pressure was gone. I just needed to show up and get done what needed doing. So I came back and I simply got to work. I started working, you know, day by day, bit by bit, you know, one wall at a time, one tile at a time, one room at a time. And slowly, I suppose I started to feel different. I felt like I was actually achieving something, even if it wasn't for me, if it was going to be for the next person who bought this house. Then also during that time when I had started working on the house, I started to meet people in the village. You know, a neighbour would help me with something, or a shopkeeper who I'd seen a few times would say hello. I started to meet the neighbours and got into little chats with them. And the house, all of a sudden, I suppose, little by little, without me realising it then, started to feel less like a mistake. And I started to feel a little bit more like I'd started to belong to the community. Now, here's the thing that I suppose I didn't expect. You know, I know when you're buying a house, particularly a very old house in a Spanish village in an area you don't know, where you don't know anyone, was going to be difficult. But as I said earlier, I'd also lost my job at exactly the same time. But that actually helped me. You know, as I'd said just now, that for most of my adult working life, I'd made my own money. I didn't wait for a business to pay me. I created things that paid me directly. But during those 10 years, I definitely lost that. You know, I'd lost control of my time. I'd lost control of my own decisions. I'd lost maybe a little bit sense of self, and I'd certainly lost the time to schedule how I lived on this earth. So doing this house and working on it and documenting it for this channel, it reminded me, that I can create value again. You know, I'm making money on my terms, no boss, no timesheet, no schedule imposed on me. And the channel, I'm really enjoying it. I genuinely enjoy doing these vlogs, even though, you know, I'm working 7 days a week between doing the house and working on my YouTube channel. I absolutely love putting this content out, and it is something that I would love to grow into something that I do full time. Okay, so where are we with the house? Well, we still don't have any fixed plans. Even though we now love the house, we might stay for a few years. We might sell it. We just don't actually know right now. And I think that uncertainty is actually really freeing. It really is. I don't know how else to word it. It's kind of amazing not knowing what's coming next. And this house, the one I hated, has gave me back control of my own life again. It's given me my purpose again. You know, my purpose was to get it done. It's given me clarity. And at the same time, I think it's sort of forced me to rebuild myself as much as it has forced me to rebuild the house. So yeah, that's how I've gone from loathing to loving this house. And it's not because it's turned out perfect. It's not because everything was easy, but it's because it's forced me to show up. It's forced me to persist. It's forced me to create. And as we've been going through this house over the last 2 months, getting to the stage we're currently at, you start to have a connection with a house. You know, as you're peeling layers away and then putting new layers on, and you're discovering the history of the house. And as I said, meeting people, you know, whether it's tradesmen or neighbours or whatever it may be. So little by little, without you realising it, because these things creep up gradually, you start to completely change your opinion. And I think that's the lesson here, that sometimes the thing that you want to run from is the thing that actually changes you the most. So if you've watched this vlog and you're thinking recently that you've made a huge mistake, don't run just yet. Sometimes the chaos, the frustration, the uncertainty, the misery maybe, is where the growth happens. Anyway, look, thanks for watching the vlog. I hope it's something that you've enjoyed. If you have enjoyed it, please remember to hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost a penny, but this channel relies on people like you subscribing. Also as well, if you can leave a comment, that really helps the algorithm and it makes this video then go out to a wider audience. Anyway, enjoy whatever you're doing for the rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next one.